where sales and marketing talk.
Welcome back to another episode of Frenemies. My name is Julia Hartwig and I stand for marketing and I'm talking to.
I am Ahmet Albayrak and I stand for the sales.
And today we want to talk about something that most people don't really like to talk about, and that is fuck ups. So while everybody has already moved on to 2023, talking about the predictions and how this year will be, we want to talk about what we fucked up in 2022.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
actually,
we fucked up a lot.
I would like to start with a story that is not my personal fuck up, but it involves me, and I think you might like this story. So last year, I
Yeah,
wanted to buy a solution. I was in contact with a very great AE, but the process was dragging out. More stakeholders got involved, and the end of the year was approaching. So the AE got a bit impatient and started to get very pushy. But the things, like, I couldn't do anything about the situation. I had informed all of the stakeholders, so there were just a lot of questions, for example, from legal and so on, that I really couldn't do anything about. And they became pushier and pushier, and then I just stopped answering emails and getting back to him, because I was like, it's not on my table, I can't do anything about it. And obviously the
yeah.
AE felt then sorry. So he sent a bottle of champagne to my house with a note saying
Wow.
sorry. The thing is, just my partner wasn't too impressed opening the package with a bottle of champagne from an AE, let's call him Michael, that said sorry.
Yeah, I guess he's also a little bit right, So when you don't know the background story of it, it's like Michael sent you champagne, it has a more romantic mood, It's like champagne,
Yes.
It's like it
So
said sorry.
so while I appreciated the idea, the execution of it could have maybe been done better. So that is just a little fuck up story I wanted to share.
Yeah, but it's like it's great. But you didn't purchase the software, right? After that, it's like there's no way.
We actually did in the end. It's just the process dragged out.
Oh.
So it all turned out fine for both us and the AE, I think.
Yeah. The thing is, it's like I'm not thinking your AE is the main part here who wanted to push. Actually, he actually understood the process. But the thing is, he's being pushed or he's being pushed in this case, and it's like, hey, you have to close this deal. You did everything. It's like you have to close. We need to show it in our report to our investors and all that stuff. That's why this funny fuck up happened.
Yeah, I completely get it. But I think, again, it also comes to, like, how much can you push and what can you actually do, and where does it maybe not make sense, because the person you might be wanting to push can't do anything about it either, right?
Yeah.
But let's get to you. What fuck ups do you have to report for 2022?
Yeah, actually, after in the beginning of the year, I had a good Turkish lira salary, but the economy was fucked up. And decided to it's like, hey, I can find a remote job. I can speak two languages, and I'm in sales for 5 years. And I'm also interested in tech, and I wanted to get into tech sales. But this is the thing. I underrated myself in interviews, the first actually 15 or 20 interviews, because I thought that it's like, because it was the first time then I was actively first lurking on LinkedIn, and I see it's like everyone is talking about like tech sales, like something being completely different. And I told myself, with that, it's like, hey, you have to learn a lot. Of course, everyone needs to learn a lot, especially in sales. But at the end, we are selling to human beings. So in the first few interviews, first 10 or 20, it was fully fuck ups. And I was just like, yeah, it's like I'm open to learn. I'm new to this. It's like I was, my tone was different, and I had like 50-minute interviews. I got one or after, it's like after 20 interviews, I just got to second stage in two or three of them, and then I realized, dude, it's like it's sales. It's like you're not selling to a machine, you're selling to a human being. So, and you're in sales for 5 years, you sold different things to different people before. So in that sense, I just changed my mindset at that point. And after that, my first round I made my research in that time, so the tools, it's like what they're using, it's the cadence, what is the cadence sequence and all that other stuff. But then I realized, and so I started to control the interviews. Actually, it took only for me 15 to 20 minutes in the first stage with an HR, and she directly said to me, "Hey, let's set up for you an interview with the hiring manager. So we are excited to have you. I'm very proud to apply to us and all that stuff." And I also, so changed my strategy by applying to the jobs. I just went directly through them, not just send my CV and all that stuff. So this was the thing, it's like the first 20 interviews, and it also gives you, it's like you doubt yourself, when
Yeah.
you got rejected. And no one can say, "Oh, I don't care." You care, but it the important thing is how much you care. So I started care less because I got so many rejections, and I just it's like, hey, what did I wrong? Did I do wrong? Okay, this one, this one, this one, this. Okay, I need to change that. And after that, at the end I had on the table three, four offers, and I got the chance to choose one of them because it's really hard to. What I didn't realize, it's really hard to find a really good salespeople out there because everyone is doing great on interviews, especially when you hire for sales. That I also realized later, it's like they are doing great on the interviews, but when it comes to the work, no one is there. It's like everyone is afraid of taking the forward steps because it takes courage to be in
Yeah.
sales because you are talking to strangers, you are messaging to strangers all the time. And for me, it was like I have a little more careless personality, let's say. And what I did at the end, it's just like I can send videos. It's like I can get creative. I wanted to get creative in my outreach, and you cannot do it in traditional industries. It's like when I send a video to 50 years old Olaf from Germany with the, "Hey Olaf, this is Ahmet from I don't know what company, and if we want to sell you some bearings, machine parts. Was wollen Sie da machen?" I don't want to get that reaction.
But
So this is the one thing. So
you could say like this might be your fail of 2022, but at the same time it's also your win, right? Because you did get a new job, you got job offers, so it's great to see that you turn it around and you actually turned your fuck up into a really good thing.
yeah, the thing is actually, it's a bit fuck ups. It's like, hey, I fucked it up. Okay, it's over. No, it's like almost what I learned from. I had a wise brother, so that I call him brother. It's not my, it's like relative or something. But he taught me this, because I had this problem. It's like when something's not happened, I just completely let it go and do not try again. What I did, it's like we will fuck up in our every stage of our lives, even in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. It's like if you live that far. So the thing is, okay, I fucked up. So what should I do next? For example, for you, for example, do not let a champagne with from Michael with a sorry notice to your home. So or give a notice, prior notice. Hey, we just want to your partner. It's like we wanted to buy a software. He did this. That's why he said this. So yeah, that's the thing. So
I think on my end, I mean, the list of smaller fuck ups is quite long. Especially being a person or having a role where you execute a lot as well
yeah,
can lead to a lot of fun little fuck ups. I mean, one thing is I ran a lot of webinars in 2022. So, I did all of the coordination and planning and the
Yeah.
strategic part, but I wasn't a speaker on the webinars. I was kind of handling them in the back. But we had some fun fuck ups with, the wife of the speaker coming in the back room, noticing that a webinar was going on, swearing loudly and leaving again, and things like that. Yeah, the list is long, but you could say, one good thing that came out of that as well is that I worked a lot on, creating guides for these things. So then we created a speaker's guide. So just to ensure, hey, how's the lighting in the room and all of those things to prepare everyone. And I got really good at what do I need to do to prepare everyone, also so that everyone on the webinar, all the speakers enter in, the right mindset, and they're not coming from
Yeah.
another meeting and then start a webinar. They're completely stressed, but
Yeah.
book them a bit before so they actually have a few minutes to prepare mentally for, okay, now it's time to deliver
Yeah.
and be smart on point.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I had that, so we did some advent calendar events. I had that as well. It's like it was my first ever live. Actually, I did a live event before just by myself. And what I realized, it's like everything was in my head, how to explain it and all that stuff. But when it's live, it's something completely different because you are not looking at to another person, like just like we did here. I'm just looking at a camera. It's like it's just two lenses there. I'm just staring at it and talking to it, and I couldn't follow up. There were a lot of comments, a lot of questions. Actually, there were some little debates in between, but I couldn't follow up all of them. It's like it was also a different experience. So, but yeah, we have to learn from our experiences. So fuck ups.
I mean, one thing I'm proud to say, as far as I'm aware, in 2022, that didn't go an email out that I was involved in that had, some sort of mistakes. Like, you always love when you receive these emails where it says subject line in brackets and somebody forgot to fill in the subject
Yes.
line. As far as I know, that didn't happen to me in 2022. So that I'm kind of proud of. But obviously, there are a lot of other small mistakes that just happen by, trying to execute fast, or it just happens. Press releases being published on a website when they shouldn't, or small mistakes like that. Obviously, technology plays a big part in it as well. So on our
Yeah.
front page, the book a demo button didn't work for a week because there were some problems with a provider.
Oh.
Yeah, so things like that is
It's
also
like
on the list of 2022 fuck ups. Even though, I don't, it's not mistakes I directly did, but obviously it's part of the job to spot those things and act really fast as well, because you know that one week without that button can cost you a lot.
yeah, especially a lot, really a lot. So actually, I had something like this. I receive now. It's like we founded the sales fellowship and all this stuff. I see receive some sales emails, and someone still tries. I didn't answer the email, but still calls me Tom. And the email address is ahmed.albayrak@salesfellowship.com. It's like still calls me Tom. Tom, I didn't hear from you. It's like Tom's any thoughts. It's like I was like, okay. I received also a company name. It's like prospect, high
Yeah.
prospect in your company. Like it's like in brackets. It's like in your company you need this and this and this. Okay, okay. And it's like it's really personalized email.
See, I would reply back and say I think something in automation doesn't work there, or the SDR
I
was just
did,
too
I did
lazy
that
to,
this.
actually put the personalizations in.
Yeah, it's like yeah, it can happen. It's sometimes it's a bug. It's like from the software that they send. The outreach tool that they use. But in most cases, you have to be okay. It's like we think actually quantity is over quality, and this is this is a really big issue that we almost everyone has in sales. We think that the best performance and I don't know 1,000 emails uh, makes 200 calls a day or something. It's like not going too precise. It's like when you don't get with the precise work with I don't know 30, 50, 40 to 50 calls consistently, or with 25 to 30 really good emails, you can get much more out of it. When you didn't get any results, actually, it's not your fault. It's the management's fault to find the right ICP at the end. We got that a lot. So
I think it's a a topic we kind of mention in nearly every episode, and I think it's good we're not getting tired of saying it, because I mean it's the same in marketing. The
yeah,
main idea of a lot of people and a lot of leaders is still that quantity brings you quality, and it's just not the case. It's the same that you see in leads, that there are those targets on the quantity needs to rise and needs to rise, where it's like, well, that just makes everybody really busy. Like, wouldn't it be better if
yeah,
SDRs actually work on a lower amount of really qualified leads than just working on this
yeah,
massive quantity? And that way you could actually save cost, because you wouldn't make the entire
exactly,
department, like sales department, so busy and worked up and working through like the
exactly.
entire amounts.
Yeah. The thing is, so everything runs on data. It's like they have the data to analyze it. Okay, so who do we sell easier? Let's say, what is our competitors' situation in this country? Okay, we are strong in this and this and this and that countries, or not in that this and this and this countries. So let's not bother right now to contact them unless we got some strengths. It's like some additional features or something like this to have a reason to contact them. So this is the thing. There are so many variants, but we just our ICP is based on company size, position, and I don't know. It's like the industry or something. It's like this is only with that you cannot tailor and well ICP. You cannot decide, hey, this is the people that I'm going to sell. Hey, there are 5 million companies in your range. It's not possible. Okay, you cannot sell to all of them. This is really ridiculous. But yeah, people are people, so they will change. It will change. It's like people will see, because especially with the recent developments with the AI and all that stuff. Actually, they will read, because AI will mostly analyze this stuff and give you some results out of that. Hey, you have this and this and this problems, and you solved this and this and this prospects much more easier. So let's target them. And there are I don't know
I mean, to be honest, it
30K
doesn't even need
companies.
AI for this. Like, the
Yeah,
data is
but
already there.
uh,
So if people would just use it properly, they would already be able to get to these results. But, people, or most people, I think it's 9 out of 10 people, don't like change, which is understandable. I mean, but change needs to happen, especially in this year. And I think that's a really, really good thing. And honestly, one of my predictions is that a lot of companies will have to work on their ICP, because most companies don't have the
yes,
budgets in this year to cater to, as you say, those like 5 million companies. They need to refine the ICP to get more efficient in how they're spending and how they're targeting, and then also how they're
exactly.
selling, obviously, to actually achieve the results they need to stay alive.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, but the thing, it's like people are not nowadays. It's like what I see. People are in going to two directions, to radical directions. Actually, it's like only change and only keep, more conservative, or too innovative. It's like not everything new is great. Okay, it's like some things are we tend to think, it's like, hey, our ancestor did bad. No, man, it's like you cannot say, it's like because we live in a better age. No, who says, it's like we live in a better age. It's like this time is, it's like 20s is 2020s are much better than I don't know 1800s or 1700s 1600s. You just guess from this side. It's like, hey, looking from 2023 to 1700. Okay, it's better. Why? What is better? We have smartphones, we have laptops. No, it doesn't make anything better. But the other thing is, so you have to find in between. Okay, you have to be conservative by adapting new technologies, because I also see in a lot of software development companies, they're selling something not finished. Okay, this is also a thing. They are promoting it like it's a fully mature product, but it's not. So that's why you have to be really careful by buying these stuff. But on the other hand, it's not like, hey, we don't need any of them. No, you need them. So it's like when you implement it right, actually you don't need to, it's like you start working smarter, actually. It's not harder, more smarter. You can evaluate your time much better as a business owner, or it's like head of sales or something, like head of marketing, etc.,
But I
etc.
think the problem you're getting at is something that I see in the market as well. I feel like most products are scared to position themselves as like, this is the problem we solve for you. They want to position themselves as, these are all of the problems we're solve, and it's just
This is
not the case, right? Like, I don't know how many solutions you work with every day, but for me it's minimum 10, most likely even up to 20 different tools and solutions
yeah,
I use. And I don't use them because I love using so many solutions,
yeah,
but because each of
yeah,
them solves their own product, and I have a very specific need and demand for each of these products. And there is not one solution that
exactly.
covers all of those.
Exactly. It's like, this is the thing. You have to be good at one thing. You cannot be good at everything. This is actually as a human being, so it's also as a software like this. And the problem is, actually, I think the problem comes from this. So most of the final decision makers are, generation X, generation Y, X or Y, say above 40. So at the end, and they didn't born in a digital age. It's like when they first started working, or above 50 in most cases. So, and it's a digital thing. It's not something that you can touch, you can feel. It's not like buying, I don't know, buying a car. Because before all of this, they bought something that could be, it's like they can feel it, they can see it. But it's a software. It's something actually, like a matrix. It's like it's not real, actually. But it's real. And explaining that to them, it's hard. And at the end, you come to this stuff. And I was like, hey, the problems that we solve. And when you just say, hey, we solve this particular problem at marketing or sales, he's like, okay, why should I pay monthly for $40 for it? Okay, actually, we solved this issue as well, this issue as well. Oh, okay. Then it's worth it. So
Well, and I
it's like,
think a danger in that is also that, and that doesn't matter of the generation, but I think people are very, they tend to think from their own use case to other people. But the problem is, you yourself are not a statistic. It's very subjective. So you can't think of, well, this is how I use LinkedIn, so everybody else must do the same. No, people use social media in different ways, are active on different social media platforms. So you can't just go from yourself and how you buy solutions and then put that out to this entire target audience. Because also, a lot of times, unless, like, for example, if I would be working at a marketing platform, of course then I understand the buyers way better because I am the persona as well, but most of the times that's not the case. So also, you can't apply
yeah,
your way of thinking to your audience's way of thinking.
yeah,
But
exactly.
you also just
Also,
pointed at a problem I see in marketing a lot as well, that especially in, like, bigger companies, the marketing decision makers are people that learned and did marketing before there was digital marketing. So they still have a very
yeah,
traditional approach. And even if they have adjusted to the digital approach, most likely, they were already too advanced in their careers when digital marketing hit. So they never actually executed in digital marketing
Yeah.
platforms. They have never been in there and, adjusted bids on Google Ads or worked with Facebook or LinkedIn. And that makes it very difficult because I think from you working in it, you understand the algorithms way more, you see the tendencies way more, and that all is knowledge you need to take into account when you build strategies. And, I see there is this big gap.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times for the sales side, a lot of founders also, salespeople, when it's a bigger company, they fell in love with their product. Who cares? It's like you don't because they given also all the time when it's a training, it's about the product training. Product is this, we have this future, that future. Who cares? It's like my approach is always this. It's like who cares? It's like big interview from now. It's like I work a big interview. It's a great software, but I didn't fall in love with it because it's like when you fell in love, you cannot emphasize from the other side, okay? And it's like that's why I stay cool. It's like I didn't like, it's like I didn't push for someone to, hey, we have this new product, you have to buy this. It's like it's not that approach that I take. This is this and this and this and this guy, only calm. It's like friendly tone with a friendly tone, a little authority is also in it because psychologically it affects people. So at the end, they just because it's reasonable, the people say, "Oh, okay, you know that. No, let's arrange a demo."
But I think that's the next thing a lot of companies forget in this, like, we are the perfect solution and we will solve your problem. Well, because we all have so much experience working in solutions, we actually spot limitations very fast. So I
Yeah,
I haven't onboarded one single solution where I didn't feel some sort of constraint or limitation. And that's fine. I'm not saying all of them, need to be perfect. I think it's very
yeah.
difficult to get to a product everybody loves. But people forget that, or companies forget that in their messaging. And it's fine to have limitations, and it's also fine to communicate them clearly. You don't have to position yourself as the perfect product, because a
Yeah.
product's job is not to be the best buddy of the users.
I also use it actually. It's like honesty is always affects people. It's like when I talk about so a client, for example, asking for, hey, you have this future for this country. I said, okay, we had some issues. Okay, and I was like, we are not good at it, but we are working on it. So we got a new provider for this. So we are working on it, and so far it seems okay. So I wanted to be totally honest for you, because if you buy this software, don't come to me and say, oh man, you told me this, but there is no this future. It's like, and actually the guy bought it at the end. I booked a meeting because he said, I love your honesty. It's like you didn't try to sell, you just explain it. It's like that's the thing actually. Being the imagination for salespeople. And I was like, hey, we are salesy, we want to trick you into something. It's like, no. It's like, I was like, just chill. It's like, hey, this is this and this. If there is a return of investment that you can see, buy. If not, don't waste also my time. It's like we shouldn't waste our time.
Mm.
So just move forward.
But that's a massive marketing prejudice as well, that, we're just there to trap people. But the entire idea, both of marketing and sales, is obviously very flawed, because, even if that was your strategy to just trap people into becoming users, well, then most likely they're not happy users. So they churn. And that
Yeah.
gives you a big problem as well.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, another fuck up that I have. So I would definitely say underrating cold calls in some case for the US, actually US market. So it's like when I recently changed my job, and I see that there was a great, because the product has a great product market fit. Okay, everything is so aligned. You just need to reach out to them. It's like this is the only thing. You have to reach out to them, tell them about it, and you can most probably book a meeting. So, but with emails, We are reaching out to, for example, universities and corporate. Now we are reaching out to corporates as well, but in general, we are reaching out to universities, careers services departments. But they are really busy. They are mostly understaffed. There are lots of students they have to deal with, and emails gone away. Okay, it's like they don't have time for this, unfortunately. But when I can catch them on the phone, they just okay. It's like there was like okay, okay, I would love to arrange a meeting. It's like the only reason was hey, they have really no budget. Other than that, they just book a meeting. Okay, we used it before. We want to see the improvements. Let's do it on this and this and this day. It was really nice. So do not underrate any outreach method, but it also depends on the market as well. It's like it doesn't what works for the US doesn't work for example, Germany, as far as I can see. It's totally different things, totally different approach that we need to take. Emails are much much better, for example, for Germany. If you make them really tailored, really relevant, they work as well.
I think my biggest fuck up in 2022 is that I failed to implement the full demand generation approach. And obviously, that isn't only down to me. The problem is that you need to get everybody on board, and you need to change everybody's way of thinking, which is in the end what I failed at. But it's something that I think is necessary, and something that is now on my goal list for this year. But I think a difficulty in that is also, I think it's easier for companies to switch to a demand gen approach if they already have a volume of demand they've created in the market, because else you're changing and there's a really like long gap. And now working at a startup, obviously, we are in a very different position. So currently I also can't implement a full demand gen approach. I still need some lead gen activities to help over this gap time, which I think is fine. But it was just a big realization for me, coming kind of out of this failure, that even though now I have everybody on board with it, there still needs to happen some, a bit more traditional lead gen approach, just
Yeah.
to help over this time that it needs before the high intent leads come in.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah. One other thing for me is, I take it actually more in personal sense. So, it's like, uh, do not overcomplicate stuff. Think simple. It's actually, I can say, a little bit the issue of myself. When I jump into something, I want to cover all the topics around it, everything, and I do in most cases. So it's a huge, in some cases, a huge time waste because I want to cover everything. Every one step. I read a lot. I read articles. I watch videos about it. It's like after that, I feel satisfied. It's like, hey, okay, I can jump into this matter, this thing. But life is not like that. We don't have time to cover everything for everything that we want to do. So this is the other thing. It's like, hey, okay, what is the most basics, fundamentals that I need to know? Okay, in time, you can just jump into it, and in time, you will get much, much better on it, in it. So, this is the one thing that I couldn't do in 2022, and I'm still working on it. So, it's still a fuck up that's going on. So, I just wanted to, it's a continuous fuck up. So, we can just,
I think, yeah, I mean, for me, it's the same. You could look at it as like a continuous fuck up, or you look at it kind of like as a continuous learning, which I choose to do, because I have the same of, I'm a very perfectionist person. And
you too.
but it's this constant balance of what you want to do, because you can't constantly ensure that everything is perfect, because it will slow you down.
Yeah.
It needs readjustment anyway. depending on what you set up, but most of the times you need to come back and then improve it and optimize it and test it. So does it make sense to spend
Exactly.
all of this time on effort, like making it perfect for the launch, or is it actually makes it sense to balance it out and go to, okay, this is like the minimum viable solution or a bit above it,
Yeah.
and launch that and test on it and then make the next refinement.
Exactly. Exactly. People, you know, think that, it's like being a perfectionist is a great thing. It's like, hey, you do everything perfect. No, you think nothing is
Yeah.
perfect. It's like it ruins your life. It ruins our lives. It's like I did this, but it could be much better. Okay. It's like my, it's like YouTube videos. It's like it could be, of course, it could be much better, but it's the beginning, it's the first video, or it's like nothing can be perfect at the beginning. You can't be a big YouTuber like I don't know what. It's like at the first your first starting media. So you have to become better, much better in your next videos. Also, like it's like when I create a sequence, now we are creating a sequence for corporate. I realize I'm overthinking stuff. Okay, let's just start. Let's do an A/B test. It's like then you can, because we are just it's like sequencing, like creating a sequence is like it's like you are emphasizing. What would they think when I drop this value at that point? It's like when the email should be this long and that long. This should be the words that I should use, and so where's the personalization? Here is the personalization part and all that stuff. So, but at the end, you know, much more simpler approach, much more basic versions could work. But you don't know it without trying. It's like we are trying to make it perfect. It's like an email sequence with, I don't know, 100% reply rate. No, there is no sequence like that. You have to be just calm down, relax, and just
I think
try.
actually that is a thing that stops marketing organizations or specific activities a lot of times as well, because there's always this idea of everything needs to be perfect. We need to have all of this together. We need to be professional, instead of, for example, reaching out or contacting or getting things started before everything is perfect and just saying, "Hey, we don't have to
Yeah,
communicate. This is perfect and this is how it will always be." You can get started. You can launch things. You can do small activations without having everything around it together, and you can still be very effective if you communicate that as well and you actually open up, like, for example, thinking
yeah,
about launching a feature, and that, or like, it's in testing phase and it's a beta version, but launching it and saying, "Hey, this is beta version. If you want to sign up and test it, we would be happy to have
yeah,
you on board and test it for us and send us
exactly.
your feedback." I think people would actually, receive that very well, obviously depending on what the product is, but things
Yeah,
like that, where it's always this idea of everything needs to be perfect. And I think, same as
yeah,
you said with YouTube, I mean, it's also a societal thing. I think we are as humans obsessed with the win cases. It's always like, look at the people who made
yeah,
it, from dishwasher to millionaire. Like, there is a lot of this obsession of the ones that made it. Well, can we define
yeah.
what made it means? Like, look at us, for example. We're posting a lot on LinkedIn. Are we the biggest LinkedIn influencers? No, but we're
No.
doing it because we're having fun with it, because we believe in it.
Yeah,
We like the platform for the most part, and that's
yeah,
that's a success as well. Of course, you can look at it as a failure and say, "Oh my god, like, we don't have that amount of followers, or we haven't achieved this and this goal," but you can also look at it as a win and say, "Hey, we're getting this started."
yeah, exactly. It's like in some cases, not everything should be a $1 million idea, or to bring you 100, bring you six figures in 3 months. So just like this clickbait titles on YouTube. Dude, it's like just slow down. It's like it's the life. Everything can happen. Something can bring without any expectation. Millions, of course, some ideas. But in some ideas, you could have some high expectation, but could bring nothing. This is the life. Actually, you cannot. We think we are in control of everything. No, when you realize you are in control of nothing but your actions. It's like nothing but your actions. This is one thing. When you realize that, you will go. you will be so relaxed. Actually, people think why you are so relaxed. So I cannot control everything. That's what I know. That's why I'm so relaxed. When something happens, so what? It's like it will go. It's like another thing will happen. It's like there will be always something. Something will always happen.
And
So
with
it's
these wise words and motivational speak from Ahmed Abarek, we'll close
yeah.
this episode of our 2022 Fuck Ups. And we'll hopefully hear you next week.